Hey everybody, happy Sunday. We made it through another week. I was really super late posting this because in my brain I had posted it and I hadn't. So, little shout out to Janelle for reminding me to put it up. And then I did add the new playlist. So, if you follow along on Spotify, it is public under KatMula Wellness, March 2021. So if you want to pull that up to follow along or use one of the other ones that we posted or use your own. But part of the whole experience with, just making sure my mic is on, part of the whole experience with restorative yoga, I feel, especially with our Sunday nights when we were in the studio, is the music and the ambiance and the aromatherapy. So if you can somehow recreate that for yourself at home, so first by having a space for yourself, that is the space where you can do yoga and really kind of check out of the thinking mind without being interrupted. So that's the first part. And then creating an ambiance in that space where you really feel relaxed. I am using lavender and eucalyptus oil tonight and Palo Santo, which is something that you can burn like a smudge. So all things like that sort of trigger in your brain that it's time to calm down, that you're kind of getting into that mode of yoga time. So if you are following along with the playlist, we'll start that. And always we start with calming the body, sort of resetting, settling the mind. So we'll start lying down. If you don't already have them, grab blankets and a pillow and have them nearby just for some of the restorative postures where maybe you'd want to have some extra support or some bolsters. So you can use those. And you could start tonight even with one under your neck, maybe roll a blanket up and put it right under your neck. And then settle in. So you really want to find a comfortable posture, lying down, something grounding. Maybe extend the legs. Arms can be on your sides. You can have one hand over your heart, one hand over your abdomen. Just start to let everything get heavy, start to settle in. And this is the part where you can you can sort of struggle with the thinking mind. So this is why this part is so important, because as you do this in your yoga practice, as you retrain your brain to sort of learn to use your breath as a tool to calm yourself in situations, it can really be useful off the mat. So learning to do that here on the mat gives you that tool to take away with you. So start to notice as you're here, where are you holding on to tension today? So, are you gripping, are your shoulders up by your ears? Is there tension somewhere? Can you let everything just relax and get heavy toward the yoga mat, toward the floor? And maybe use this time to set an intention for yourself for today, for this week. Something that maybe you want to focus on, something that will help you to reset yourself. So for me, my intention tonight is I am just looking for clarity. There's a lot of unknowns, I think, right now. just in general, which is an unnerving feeling, right? All the unknown. So, whatever your intention is, when you find that your mind starts to wander, see if you can focus back on that intention. And then also come back to the breath. And if you're one of those people that needs that like very tangible reminder, it helps to have your hands somewhere where you can feel as you inhale, feel everything expand. And then maybe hold your breath at the top of the inhale and exhale just as slow as you inhaled. So, and if it helps, you can count in your mind to 6 or 8 or whatever works for you, but to establish that pattern of breathing. And for some people who, if your mind is super busy, sometimes it helps to just use that counting tool. Sometimes it helps to use that sense of feeling, that tangible feeling of the breath expanding and the muscles expanding. So just find a way that you can focus on the physical presence of being and let go of your to-do lists and all your stuff. You'll go back to it with a little bit clearer and a little bit calmer state of mind if you let go of those things for right now. So that's a big part of the practice. And it takes a few minutes, some really consistent rounds of this conscious breath to really start to reset your body and to start to feel calmer. But it does work. It can help your heart rate to slow down. And wherever you're holding on to tension, see if you can let go of it. See if you can just let everything be very relaxed. And we'll start to invite movement just into the feet first. So you wiggle the toes, flare the toes, rotate the ankles. You might get some little cracks and pops, which is fine. All these places we don't pay attention to, right? We walk around on our feet all day long, really abuse our bodies for the most part. So use this time to pay a little bit of attention to those places that we don't pay attention to. Keeping with the deep inhales and exhales, and then start to bring that right knee up toward the right shoulder first. So you're going to kind of bring it out toward the shoulder and then in, just to create some space. And we're going to start with some knee circles here. So just in one direction, you can feel out where it feels good. Make them as big or as small as feels good. And maybe sync it up with the breath. So as you inhale, bring it in. Exhale, bring it out. Often when we are working on one side of the body, we kind of forget about the other. So if that's the case for you, just a little reminder, your left leg is extended, left foot is flexed, and it helps me to keep my hand right there on the left hip, just to keep that left hip from coming up as you're making your circles. And then reverse. So whichever way you were going, we're going to go the other way. Just starting to wake up the hip, get the blood flow going a little bit. Two more big breaths. So keeping with that inhale, exhale, whichever way you're going with it. And then you're going to extend that right leg all the way out, and we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So just make sure that you're straight, that you didn't get crooked, and then you're bringing that left knee up toward the shoulder and in, and then right foot is flexed. And again, you can put your hand there on the hip just to keep a reminder not to let that hip come up as you're making your circles. You're keeping everything nice and straight. Everything is in alignment. I know, it's like my favorite word. Sorry. Sorry, not. And maybe keep with that cycle of breathing. So maybe you inhale, bring it in, exhale, bring it out. And then exhale, we're going to switch and go the other way. So you're going to reverse that circle. And again, you're going with whatever feels good to you as far as the pace here. So use your breath as a tool. Maybe you go slower. Maybe that feels you get more out of it. Maybe it feels better to go with a little bit swifter of an in and out, but keeping with that consistent inhale, exhale, breath and movement. And then extend that left leg all the way back out. We're going to come into happy baby. So if you do have that neck roll, just move it out of the way. And I know often I do this at the end of a restorative, but we're going to try it a little different. So now that we loosened up those hips a little bit, just get yourself nice and straight on the mat. And then you're going to let both knees come up toward your shoulders and in and then down toward the yoga mat. Your feet are coming up toward the ceiling. So maybe just take a moment, a breath, to settle in here to this position, and maybe use this as an opportunity to, rotate the ankles, wiggle the toes, get some movement into the feet. And then start to explore and feel where it feels comfortable to put your hands. So maybe it's on the sides of your feet. Maybe these fingers around the big toe and make a yoga toe lock here. Maybe you're not super flexible. Maybe this is a place where you're really tight. So in that case, you can have your hands down behind your calves, on your thighs. Just find a place where you can settle in, because this is one of those postures that takes a little time to do its work. If you do have your hands up by your feet, you can take an opportunity here to just give yourself a little foot massage. And you don't have to be still here. For me, it feels really good to rock back and forth and kind of massage the tailbone. And this is where your breath can be a great tool. As you're exhaling, can you start to guide those knees down a little closer to the yoga mat? Just giving yourself just a little bit more space with every exhale. So those little bits of space eventually add up to just more flexibility in those areas. So just little by little, use your breath. And when you find that place that we call your edge, where you're getting that nice deep stretch, but it's not painful, then that's where you stop. Be mindful of your shoulders here. So if you are trying to do happy baby with your hands up on your feet, make sure you're not like wrenching up to reach your feet, but the shoulder blades are still nice and flat on the yoga mat. And then you kind of find that placement for your hands. So everything works together here. And I know some of you are like, oh my God, stop talking. When can we get out of this? But that's the whole point, is you're letting it for a few more breaths. And again, if you did lose that cycle of breathing, then come back to those nice deep long inhales and exhales and maybe count to 6 or 8 as you inhale. Hold it at the top. And exhale just as slow. If it feels okay here, we can add on by just adding a little bit of a leg extension on the right side. We'll start on the right. So you can kick that right leg out toward the opposite wall. And your hand can be wherever it feels good. So you're just kind of straightening the leg. And maybe you can reach up to your foot. Maybe you're kind of down here. It doesn't matter. Just wherever you can grab onto. Just play with that sensation of extending the right leg while you keep that left leg in half happy baby. Two more cycles of breath here. And then when you're ready, we're going to switch. We're going to bring that right knee in back into your half happy baby on the right now, extending the left leg out, straightening the leg. See how it feels. Find that place where you feel that stretch. And your leg might not be totally straight. That's okay. Just find where you can get that little bit of a stretch without it being painful, and then breathe into that space. This can be kind of a vulnerable posture to do in a studio, but at home, in the privacy of your own home, you can really kind of close your eyes and just get into it a little bit. And two more cycles of breath here. And then bring that knee back in to your happy baby. So you're in your full happy baby. Now we'll bring both knees together. And I know you're like, thank God. Because even for me, that's like a lot on the hips. So just give yourself a squeeze. Side to side a little. We got the hips nice and warmed up already. So we're going to take a couple rock and rolls here. So really let yourself kind of massage the spine out. So don't just roll right up, but kind of take a couple rocks back and forth. Maybe one more. And then come up to a seat. We're just going to start with some neck stretches in our easy seat here. So first, take the time to kind of settle in to your easy seat. So what do I mean by that? We're not just sitting. You really want to feel like everything is, here's my favorite word, in alignment. So kind of make sure the sits bones are nice and flat on the floor. Knees are heavy, so everything's sort of relaxed here. Roll the shoulder blades back. Almost imagine like you have a pencil or you're holding something between the shoulder blades. So you really almost feel like you're opening up the heart space here rather than kind of slumping forward. Neck is long. Head is pointing up toward the ceiling. So almost imagine like you have a marionette string pulling your head up. And all of this is so important. I know it's annoying and I go through it every time, but if you're not in this alignment, when you get into these neck stretches, they don't work as well. So it really matters to take the time to set yourself up. Set yourself up for greatness. When you're ready, right ear to right shoulder. So come back to your breath here. So really big, deep, long inhale. Hold it at the top and then really long exhale. And then as you exhale, can you let that right ear get a little heavier toward the right shoulder, but without letting the shoulder blades roll forward? So keeping the shoulder blades down and back. And then you can add into this a little bit if you extend that left arm out and then making this sort of stop sign gesture. You'll feel a deeper stretch here in the underarm on the left side. You'll know when you get there, so play with it. You can sort of reach out and then behind until you feel that really big, deep stretch. So it kind of reaches all the way from your wrist through to the top of your jawline. And again, breathe into those spaces that feel super tight. One more big, deep inhale. One more big exhale. And then shake it out. Come back up to center. We're going to do the same thing, other side. So when you're ready, left ear, left shoulder, keeping the shoulder blades down and back. So start with that, breathing into that space, breathing into that tightness on the right side now. Take a few breaths here. And then maybe you add in that arm. So same thing, spreading the fingers, and then you're making almost like that stop sign gesture. And then you're going to reach out and maybe a little behind until you feel that really deep, intense sensation from your wrist all the way up. And it can be a little sensitive. It can feel almost a little sore. But that's good. You're strengthening and getting into those spaces that you don't typically stretch or get into. So even if you're just doing that once a week here, you're still doing yourself a huge favor. So imagine if you did it every day. So we'll come back to center, shake the wrist out. And then we're going to take a little stretch in the back of the neck. So letting the chin come down to the chest. And maybe interlace the fingers behind the back of the head and give yourself that leverage without pushing, just guiding that chin toward your chest and not rolling the spine, keeping the spine straight. So that stretch is really here in the neck and the shoulder blades. And elbows are reaching out toward the opposite walls. And again, use your breath as a tool here. As you exhale, can you push or guide your chin a little closer to your chest? Not push, guide. Push sounds aggressive. One more big, deep inhale, big, long exhale. Try to let go of whatever you're still holding on to. And then you let the fingertips come back down to the knees and then just bring the chin back up. We're going to take some side body stretches. So reaching that left leg out. So left leg extends. Right leg. There it is. Always. I can't not mess them up. Right leg comes out, right foot is flexed, left foot comes into the right inner thigh. So again, do that little check-in with everything. Do you feel like everything is in alignment? Keep the shoulders down and back, spine is still straight. That left knee is heavy down toward the yoga mat. And then you're letting your right arm be a little bit of a kickstand here, coming down toward the yoga mat, but not putting all of the body weight into that right arm. You're really using your core here and reaching. Left arm goes all the way up. So start here with just reaching directly up toward the ceiling. See how that feels. Again, you're not rolling forward here in the shoulders, but keeping the shoulders back. And really reach, reach, reach toward the ceiling, almost as if you're going to grab something off the ceiling. And then you're going to reach toward that opposite wall if it feels okay. So you're going to let the fingertips go all the way over toward that opposite wall, and then maybe twist up toward your arm. So you should get a nice deep stretch here in the side body on the left. Again, you're using your breath as a tool here. As you exhale, reach toward that opposite wall, twist up toward your arm. Not dumping weight into the right side, holding yourself up with your core. You can rotate the wrist here, wiggle the fingers, give yourself a little extra lovin'. One more big breath. And then come all the way back up to center. We're going to switch and do it on the other side. Just waking up the side body now. So again, being mindful of your alignment, your posture. So do your little check-in. This time, your right foot is coming into your left inner thigh. Left leg is extended now. Left foot is flexed. Spine is straight. Your neck is long. Again, you want to imagine that your head is reaching up toward the ceiling, shoulders are down and back. So do all of those little check-ins with yourself. Then you drop that left arm down, right arm reaches up this time. Again, not losing the shoulders here, so keeping the shoulder blades down and back and reaching up toward the ceiling. Reach, reach, reach as if you're going to grab something off the ceiling. And then as you exhale, you can really lean into this so you can reach toward that opposite wall and then twist up toward that right arm. Again, not dumping weight onto the left side here, holding yourself up with your core. That right knee is going to want to kind of creep up. Keep it down. Use your breath as a tool. Exhale, reach toward that opposite wall. Twist up toward your arm. Wiggle the wrist and fingers. And then inhale, come all the way back up to center. We're going to take a forward fold here, a seated forward fold. So grab, if you have pillows and blankets that you want to use here as a support, grab those. You can make yourself a little pillow fort. Don't be like embarrassed if you need the extra help. So you can sort of set yourself up so that you can fold. This is restorative. So this is what you want to do. You want to be comfortable, settle into the posture. So set yourself up to be able to do that. Don't overdo it. Don't overreach, but really just use the posture and your breath to gently guide yourself into that pose and that stretch. So if you need like a whole stack of pillows, I feel like some people feel like that means that you're not doing the yoga. You're still doing it. You're working with your body. So whatever you need here. And then you're, again, checking in with the alignment. Spine is straight, neck is long. Your sits bones are nice and flat on the floor. Legs are extended, feet are flexed. And then we're going to start by reaching all the way up toward the ceiling. And then maybe lift the chin, look up toward the ceiling, really stretch. Wiggle the wrists again here, fingers. And then exhale as you come down, fold over until you find a place where you can really settle in. And it doesn't matter what it looks like. The idea here is to allow the lower back and those muscles here in the back to relax into this. So if you're really overreaching and overstretching, you're not going to get as much out of it as you will if you settle in a way that you can be comfortable for a length of time. And this is a time to come back to the breath, come back to your intention. So maybe come back to those counts of 6 or 8 as you breathe in. And then when you get to the top of your breath, see if you can take in just a little bit more. And then exhale, really slow, long exhales. And notice here as you're in your seated forward fold or supported variation of that, notice if you feel a difference as you breathe in, the expansion in the muscles in your back versus when we were doing this lying down. And sometimes that's a helpful way to trick your brain to sort of focus on the physical practice in the moment you're in if it starts to get busy worrying about the stuff we can't fix right in this moment. And then as you exhale, can you let yourself come a little bit deeper into this? Can you get a little heavier? Maybe reach the fingertips a little further toward the feet. Just little by little, using your breath as a tool. We're going to take 2 more breaths here. So make them count. Maybe these are the longest, biggest breaths you've taken all day. And as you exhale, really imagine that you're just letting go of the stuff, whatever you're holding on to. Give yourself that imagery of just getting rid of it, resetting for a new week. And then when you're ready, we'll come up slow and use this as an opportunity to also really sort of stretch in the back a little bit here by rolling up really slow. And then rolling the shoulder blades down and back, lifting the chin up. And then we're going to move that pillow and blanket or whatever you had for props out of the way. Actually, the next time we'll use them, you'll want them up by the top of your yoga mat. So maybe put it up there for later. And we're meeting on hands and knees, tabletop position. So start with finding your alignment here. Wrists under shoulders, knees under hips. Spine is straight, neck is long. Inhale, drop the belly. Chin comes up, tailbone comes up. Exhale, round it out. Chin comes in. And then go with your breath here. Maybe close your eyes. Maybe feel it out. Exaggerate these postures a little bit if you notice that you're tight or you're holding on to tension in a certain area. Maybe you hang out there a little bit longer and kind of work into it. 2 more. Maybe wiggle the hips a little. Get a little funky with it. All right. When you're ready, coming back to tabletop position, we're going to tuck the toes, push all the way up into downward facing dog. And then feel it out here. It's very likely your first downward dog of the day. So you can do a little check-in with your alignment here. You can drop the knees and then, bend the knees and then drop your belly down onto the thighs and then straighten the legs. So it can sort of help to adjust you if you're not quite where you need to be. And it's not a big deal if your heels are not down toward the mat. The idea here is just to get the stretch in the back of the calves. So wherever your heels are is fine. So pedal it out here. Bend one knee, extend the opposite leg. Switch sides. Sync it up with your breath. So maybe inhale, bend one knee. Inhale, switch. And then find some stillness. We're going to take just a few little crunches here, and feel free to skip this if this is not for you. But I think it's helpful to spice it up a little bit in our restorative practice. I think it is helpful to sort of get the heart rate up a little and then bring it back down. So again, feel free to skip this, and you can take a child's pose or hang out in downward facing dog. But if you want to take a few crunches with me, we're going to inhale and reach that right leg all the way out behind you. And then we're coming knee to chin. Exhale, kick it out. So inhale, knee to chin. Exhale, kick it out. Knee to chin. Exhale, kick it out. Knee to chin. Exhale, kick it out. All right, maybe open the hip here if it feels okay. So kick that right foot toward the opposite wall. One breath here. Exhale, bring that right leg down. We'll switch sides. So maybe stretch here, pedal it out. And then you're going to kick that left leg all the way up. Same thing. Inhale, knee to chin. Exhale, kick it out. Knee to chin. Kick it out. Knee to chin. Kick it out. One more. Maybe open the hip if it feels okay. Kick that foot toward the opposite wall. And then exhale, bring that left leg down. We'll all meet now with knees out wide toward opposite sides of the yoga mat in an extended child's pose. Catch your breath. So come back to those really big, deep, long inhales and exhales. Maybe reach the fingertips toward the opposite side of the yoga mat. So getting a nice, big, deep stretch in the back. Your tailbone is coming down toward your feet. Forehead is on the mat. Should be a very calming, grounding feeling. Letting the heart rate come down. And maybe you take a little stretch in the underarms here by taking a little namaste behind the neck and then walking the elbows toward the front of the yoga mat, keeping that tailbone nice and heavy toward your toes. And then when you're ready, we're going to come all the way back up onto your hands and knees, tabletop position, just to transition back up into downward facing dog. And then from here, you're going to walk slowly, intentionally, so that you feel that stretch in the backs of the legs toward your hands. So we're coming into a forward fold at the top of your mat. And in your forward fold, don't focus on keeping the legs super straight. You don't have to hyperextend here. You can have a little micro bend in the knees. You're hanging heavy here so that you're getting that release in the lower back. And you can play with your arms where it feels good. You can take a ragdoll here so you can grab onto opposite elbows, maybe sway side to side, shake your head yes and no. But really just allow yourself to get nice and loose and heavy. Again, using your breath as a tool here. As you exhale, can you get a little heavier? Can you hang a little lower? One more big, deep inhale. Long exhale. And then you're going to plant the palms, step the feet back, plank. So you're holding your plank here. Really zip everything up here. So you're not dipping, you're not in an arched position, but your back, your spine is nice and straight. And we're here for 5, 4, 3, 2, push it up, downward facing dog. Pedal it out. And we're going to do that one more time. I know you love me. Bring it forward into plank. And we're here for 5, 4, 3, 2, push it up. Back to your downward facing dog. Take a breath, pedal it out. We are coming into pigeon. So that is why I had you have your stuff right here at the top of the mat so that you're ready if you need some support when you come down. And if you are not a pigeon person, I don't know why I think that's so funny. If you're not a pigeon person, then you can take a figure 4 here so you can come all the way down onto your back. You guys, I don't know what's up with me. You can come all the way down onto your back, cross your ankle over your knee, interlace the hands behind the thigh, and you're pushing your knee away on one side as you pull the thigh toward you on the other side. So that's a way you can take a little bit more of a controlled stretch that is similar to what we're aiming for in pigeon. So coming from downward facing dog, if you are taking pigeon with us, kick that right leg all the way up behind you. Open that hip if it feels okay. Open that hip again. So kicking that foot toward the opposite wall. And then exhale, knee comes down between the palms. You're reaching that left leg out as far behind you as you can. So really play with that. Get yourself set up here. And people get really concerned about, does my leg need to be parallel with the top of the yoga mat? And it really doesn't matter. What you're looking for here is to get that stretch in this area. So if your foot is down here a little bit more because you have less flexibility here, that's okay. Just find what works for you. So bringing the shoulders down and back. Left leg is extending back toward the back of your mat. Maybe lift the chin, take a little mini back bend here, if it feels okay. Take a big breath in. And then exhale, you can come down onto your props or all the way down onto the floor if that feels good to you. But find a place where you can settle in. This is another one of those postures that takes some time to do its work. So again, because we're still here, if your mind gets busy, come back to your intention, come back to your breath. Maybe focus on how it feels when you take a really big deep inhale here versus when we were in the other places where we were paying attention to that. And do another little check-in here. Are you holding on to tension somewhere else? Are you clenching anything? Sometimes we start to let go of tension in one place and just sort of transition it somewhere else. So just do a little check-in. Make sure you're not clenching your jaw, gripping anything. Just let everything get heavy. And come back to those long, deep inhales and exhales. And again, maybe here, when you get to the top of your next inhale, maybe hold your breath, take in just a little bit more, and then exhale really slow, long exhale. And as you exhale, can you let that left leg come back just a little bit further, or maybe that right foot can come up just a little bit further? Just play with that. Two more really big, deep inhales and exhales here. When you're ready, we're going to push all the way back up. Come up slow. And push back up. Lift the chin. Roll the shoulders back. And to come out, tuck the toes on the left side. Push down into the palms. You're going to kick that right leg all the way back up behind you. Open that hip again. And then come back to your downward facing dog. Just going to make sure my speaker doesn't fall out here. Okay. And we're going to take it to the other side. So we're going to kick that left leg all the way out behind you. Open the hip. So kicking that foot toward the opposite wall without dumping all the weight onto the right. So you're keeping out all the weight evenly distributed, and just that foot is kicking toward the opposite wall. And then exhale, knee comes between the palms. You're extending that right leg all the way out behind you. And again, take the time to set yourself up here. Find that place where you get that stretch without it being painful, but you can feel your edge, we call it. Roll the shoulders down and back. Lift the chin. Maybe take a little mini back bend here. Really big, deep inhale. And then exhale, bring it down. If you are in figure 4, you can switch to the other side. Should have said that earlier, but hopefully you did. And again, settle in here. Find a place where you can get heavy. Do a little check-in. Make sure you're not holding on to tension somewhere else. Let everything get heavy. Focus on the inhale, and as you're breathing in, where does your breath go? Where do you feel that expansion? Here in your pigeon. And again, if your mind gets busy, you can come back to your intention or go back to counting as you inhale. Hold your breath at the top. Slow your exhale. And as you exhale, can that right foot come down a little further? Maybe that left foot can come up a little further. Play with how much space you can get there. One more really big, deep inhale. Hold it there at the top. And then exhale. And again, imagine you're just letting go of whatever it is that you are still holding on to. Let it go. And then we'll push back up. So coming back into your upright version here, rolling the shoulders down and back, lift the chin. And then to come out, you're going to push down onto the palms, tuck the toes on the right side, kick that left leg all the way up behind you, and again, open that hip. And then come back to your downward facing dog. Extend the knees out to either side and sink all the way back into your extended child's pose. Letting the tailbone get heavy down onto the toes, reaching the fingertips up toward the top of the mat. Big deep stretch, and then get heavy. I'm going to take a couple really big, deep, long inhales and exhales here. And maybe play with stretching the wrists a little bit here by taking one hand over the other and then just pushing the fingertips back. And then switch and take that to the other side. And then come up slow here, drag the fingertips, roll up. We're going to come up onto the knees, coming into our camel variation. So I'm going to turn around just so that you can see. So again, finding your alignment first, because that's my favorite thing to tell you to do. So spine is nice and straight. Roll the shoulders down and back. And then start with just putting your hands right here on the lower back, sort of above where the tailbone is, giving yourself that little bit of support. Start by leaning back, roll the shoulders down and back, lean back, lift the chin, pushing the hips forward. See how you feel here. This might be enough for you. You might not need to go any further than this. Back bends are super intense, so take what you need. Play with how it feels, maybe to keep one hand on your back, reach the other hand down toward your ankle. If you feel okay here, maybe try it with the other. And again, you might be fine just staying right here. So listen to your body and go where it feels okay for you. We're going to take 2 really big, deep inhales and exhales here. When you're complete, to come out, if you did come all the way down, come out the same way you came in. So you're going to lift one hand first, find that support on your lower back, then lift the other. We'll come all the way back down. We're going to meet on our backs. So just taking a couple of supine spinal twists here. Come down onto your back. Shoulder blades are nice and flat on the yoga mat. Knees are pointed up toward the ceiling. Feet are flat on the floor. Arms can be wherever it feels good for the moment. So taking a couple breaths here. Coming back to the really big, deep, long inhales and exhales. Coming back to your intention. When you're ready, we'll reach the arms out into a T. Crossing the right over the left thigh as if you're sitting in a chair. So sort of imagine like eagle on the bottom. And then you're going to let the knees fall all the way over toward the right. So getting that nice twist in the spine. And then if it feels okay, gaze can go to the left. I love these twists because I love to imagine that you're just wringing yourself out. You're just wringing out all the negative stuff to make room for whatever is to come. So try not to hold this. The tendency is to get here and to kind of be stiff. Try to let yourself get really heavy. Again, using your breath as a tool. As you exhale, can you let the knees get a little heavier toward the floor? One more really big, deep inhale. Really long exhale. And then bring the knees back up. Uncross. Keeping the arms where they are, switching the cross. Left over right. And then when you're ready, knees fall all the way over toward the left, and your gaze can go toward the right this time. And again, if your mind gets busy, focus on the sensations that you feel. Use your breath as a tool as you exhale. Can you let your knees get a little heavier toward the floor? Can you relax into this a little bit more? Try not to hold anything. One more really big, deep inhale. Really long exhale. And then bring the knees back up to center. We're going to end in Happy Baby, which we started with, if you remember. Aren't I clever? But notice if it feels different to you this time. So you're going to let the knees come down toward the shoulders. So kind of out and then in, kicking the feet up toward the ceiling. And then hands go wherever it feels okay. So behind the calves, you can take a yoga toe lock. You can grab onto your feet. And try to find some stillness this time. So we were moving a bit in this earlier. So see if you can find some stillness here. Letting everything get heavy. And then as you exhale, can you guide the knees and shoulders just a little bit further? And notice if you feel different. Do you feel calmer? Do you feel the blood circulation that you kind of got going in your practice? Do you feel like you're better than you were when you showed up? And then take that with you off the mat. Focus on the good. One more really big, deep inhale. Really long exhale. Maybe make this one audible. Maybe just really sigh it out. And then bring the knees together. We'll take a couple rock and rolls here. I'm going to meet you in an easy seat. If you have the opportunity to, if you're going to bed, awesome. But if you aren't, and you have the opportunity to take a little bit longer of a shavasana here and kind of cuddle up with your pillow and your blanket, then that's what we would be doing if we were in the studio for like a good 5 to 8 minutes. So maybe allow yourself that in your practice here too. Also, I would be remiss if I did not say congratulations to Laura Emily Meyer, who graduated with her yoga teacher training today. I don't know if she's on right now, but it's a big deal. And she'll watch it later if she didn't hop on for the live. So I want to make sure I let her know how excited I am for her. So we'll close out our practice. But again, if you can take a little bit of an extended shavasana here, then I think that's super beneficial. Bringing the thumbs to the heart center. The light in me honors the light in all of you. Thank you so much for sharing your Sunday night with me, and I will see you next week. Namaste.